And we're live. Good morning. Today is March 27th, 2022, and we welcome you to New York Buddhist Church's Sunday service, streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. Today is Renyoshoni's memorial service. We will begin with quiet sitting. Please sit up straight, feet flat on the floor. Calm your mind and follow your breath. Today's chant is JÜ-SEI-GE, Reaffirming the Vows, Tan-Nembutsu Transference, followed by Vandana and Tisarana. Today's Gobunsho, the letters of Renyoshoni, is Matsudai Muchi no Sho, chapter on the ingredient beings of the final age, followed by a meditative reading from the letters of Rennyo. Reverend Ron Miyamura will then share today's Dharma message. Reverend Ron Miyamura is the current resident minister at the Midwest Buddhist Temple in Chicago. He also serves as supervising minister of the New York Buddhist Church, the Cleveland Buddhist Temple, and the Twin Cities Buddhist Association in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. We will end service by singing Gatha's Ondokusan 1, followed by Nembutsu on page 169. Namu Amida Butsu.
Go Today's Gobunsho is Matsudai Muchi Sho from the Letters of Rennyo, which translates in English, those lacking wisdom in the latter age. Laymen and laywomen in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation, without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. That is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth into the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu, whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live. Humbly and respectfully, I remain. Matsudai Muchi no Zaike Shiju no Nanyo Tara Tomogara wa Kokoro o Shitotsu ni Shite Amida Butto Fukaku Tanomi Mayarasete Sarani yo no katai kokoro o furazu Ishin niko ni butasuke tamae tomo-san shujoba Tato izaigo wa jinju nari tomo Kanazaru midanyorai wa sukui Mashimasu beshi Kore sunawachi Daiji hachi no Nembutsu ojo no segano Kokoro nari Kaku no gotoku kenjo shite no ue ni wa Neto mo samete mo mochi no aran kagiri wa Shomyo Nembutsu beki Mono nari Anakashiko Anakashiko Namandats 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 Please rise for the reading of the Vandana and Tisarana, which will be led by Reverend Gary Shobo Jaskula.
Arahato Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Namo Kie So. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Everyone, please be seated.
Today's meditative reading will be from Rennyoshoni's Goichi Daiki Kikigaki, which is a Thus I Have Heard from Renyoshoni. I read the translation by Reverend Hisao Inagaki. This is letter 49. Everyone heard the Dharma differently. One day, when Renyoshoni delivered a sermon at Yamashina, it was such an extremely inspiring Dharma talk that the audience felt it should not be forgotten. 6 of them left the drawing room and met at the Dharma hall to discuss what they had heard. They discovered that they had heard the Dharma in different ways. 4 of them had heard it incorrectly. This shows how important hearing is. It is possible that one may not hear the Dharma properly. Letter 51. Hear the essential point. Hokkyo said, when you hear the Dharma being praised, be careful not to hear it nonchalantly. Hear the essential point. He meant to tell us to hear the important aspect. Letter 52, Joyful Nembutsu. Enthusiastic in mindful thinking of Amida and calling his name, Honko Shiki, means that our act of calling the name is the enthusiastic recitation of the Nembutsu. After receiving Shinjin, we recite the Nembutsu with joy and enthusiasm. A man is said to have said, even when I drink water from the well, it is through the working of the Buddha Dharma. I understand that I owe even a mouthful of water in the working of the Tathagata and Shinran Shonin. Letter 162. And finally, letter 173. When people got together at the Southern Hall in Yamashina to discuss each other's Shinjin, Renyoshoni came and said, "What are you discussing? Only by discarding all calculations and single-mindedly entrusting yourselves in Amida without doubt will your birth in the Pure Land be ensured by the Buddha. The proof of that is Namo Amida Butsu. Beyond this, what is there to discuss? Whatever complicated questions they had, the Shonin's simple answers cleared their doubt. Namandabutsu. Namandabutsu. So we will now have a Dharma talk by Reverend Ron Miyamura.
Good morning. This is Reverend Ron Miyamura. I'm the resident minister at the Midwest Buddhist Temple in Chicago, and I am the supervising minister of the New York Buddhist Church since Reverend Earl Ikeda retired. Due to the COVID pandemic, I have not traveled for over 2 years. Hopefully, we will start to travel as soon as these numbers continue to go down, and I can be in your hondo in person. This morning, this is the memorial service dedicated to Renyoshoni, the 8th Monshu of the Jodo Shinshu Honganji. The Monshu is the spiritual leader of our sect. Rennyo lived from 1415 to 1499. Rennyo is such an important person in our organization's history. And he's the one who really organized and strengthened the Honganji. I cannot even begin to imagine the leadership skills that he had. The Honganji at the time was already a group of large number of temples and ministers, but every minister sort of did whatever they wanted, and the members were confused of what Shinran's teachings really were. Rennyo got all the ministers to agree on chanting our core sutras, the Shoshin-ge, Jusei-ge, Sambutsu-ge, and Junirai. And he standardized all the rituals. As an aside, I cannot imagine how he did that. We can't even get 33 BCA ministers to agree on anything. Most of all, though, Rennyo explained Shinran's teachings to the common people by using letters written in a simple language. We still read those letters today. We know them as the Gobunsho. Rennyo experienced many difficulties in his lifetime. There seemed to be constant wars going on. The warrior monks of Mount Hiei even burned down the headquarters, and Rennyo had to flee, and he rebuilt the headquarters in a different location. And there always seemed to be constant civil wars going on between local warlords. He overcame so many obstacles, and he did not give up, and he kept growing the Honganji. What can we learn from Rennyo? Most of all, to treasure the Dharma and to listen to the Nembutsu. But we also can learn to overcome obstacles, overcome hardships, while listening to the Dharma around us. And I am just humbled by Rennyo, because I worry about my problems, but he showed that it is possible to do even more when facing challenges. For me, the challenge is like every day. Whenever I prepare for a Dharma message, I always worry about what I'm going to say. And then I get nervous and more worried. But I have to accept that I'm not a good speaker, and I lower my self-expectations. Then I remember to try to keep things simple, and then to relax. I probably never relax, but I do like to keep things simple. My slogan as a minister has become, "Come as you are." Simple as it can be. Come as you are. I probably first heard this phrase at the Buddhist Study Center in Hawaii when I stopped for a few weeks to visit my friend, Reverend Joe Imamura, who was the director at the time in 1973. And it is a thought that has been rolling around in my head for many years. But when I returned to the active BCA ministry in 2010, It came to the forefront because it captured much of what I wanted to share. Come as you are. Come as you are is from the Ohigan story of the other shore. It is from the voice of Amida Buddha, encouraging the traveler to continue on the narrow white path of the Nembutsu, to cross over to the other shore just as we are. Come as you are is really the intent of Shinran's teaching, knowing that we are all limited human beings. Come as you are is what is Amida Buddha's message to us ordinary beings, full of limitations and selfish desires. Shinran understood that being human is exactly what causes us to awaken to Amida's wisdom and compassion. The wisdom and compassion of Amida are limitless, infinite. As humans, we may use and we may have knowledge, education, and experience. But Amida's wisdom goes way beyond human abilities, because wisdom is to know things as they really are. And humans can have kindness, empathy, and love. But Amida's compassion knows no bounds and can embrace everyone equally without discrimination. So how can us, limited human beings, ever cross over to the infinite? We cannot use logic or philosophy or any other human tools. We have to rely on a spiritual answer we receive from Amida. Shinran understood this as Nishu Jinshin, or two kinds of deep awakening. That is, it means that our own limited human abilities are exactly which bring the infinite wisdom and compassion that is Amida into our experience. And it is a spiritual experience, and there's no separation between me and Amida. There's no separation between the finite and the infinite. And of course, this would be impossible for us to use human logic for our human abilities, for Amida and myself to be one. When we use logic, we usually think that I am such a foolish human being that certainly I'm destined for the depths of hell's foolishness and selfishness. But with practice and effort, I can change direction and awaken to the Dharma. But in Shinran's understanding, no, we do not change direction. We are simultaneously destined for the sufferings of hells and the joys of the Pure Land at the same time, because they are exactly the same. Thus, we can understand come as you are in the same way. One comes to Shin Buddhism just as we are, with all our limitations, burdens, illusions, limitations, just as we are. We come to the temple with expectations and perhaps curiosity. But Shin Buddhism accepts everyone just as they are. There are no requirements, no prerequisites. There are no have-tos. There are no expectations of wealth or knowledge or education, gender. Just come as you are. Over time, and with patience, and with the guidance of our fellow travelers, with the guidance of the Sangha, we grow more comfortable, and we can change without changing. because we are simply embraced. So how can we change without changing? I like to think of the analogy of incense. When we think about incense smoke and the smell of incense, it is the strongest smell. So when we cut a smelly onion in the kitchen, it smells, and maybe it makes our eyes water. But when one takes that smelly onion into the hondo and places it near the burning incense, the smell of incense is the strongest smell. The smell of incense overpowers the smelly onion. It does not change the onion, but it changes the smell. The power of incense is stronger and simply overpowers the smelly onion, but it does not change it. In a similar way, the other power of Amita's vow overpowers all the limited self-powers of one's ego. And we change without changing. With this, I'd like to close. I'll close with a quote by my friend, Reverend Bob Oshita, the retired minister of the Sacramento Betsuing. It is a quote, but I do not have the timing and the nuance of Reverend Bob, who's very special. Nan-Nembutsu. With gratitude and kindness beyond words. Nan-Nembutsu.
Reverend Ron Miyamura is the minister at the Buddhist temple of, he's in Chicago, Midwest Buddhist Temple. And if you look at their website, you can shoot him an email and voice your appreciation of his Dharma talk, which was quite special. I hope he'll be able to visit us at some point. We really miss you, Reverend Ron. So we will now have our Gatha, Ondokusan, and Nembutsu. Please rise for the Gathas. Thank you.
Page 218. Page 169.
please be seated.
So now we'll have any announcements that we may have. Are there announcements? No announcements. All right. Well, I would like to first and foremost thank our Kyokucho, our district leader, Reverend Ron Miyamura, for his deep and wonderful Dharma talk today. Thank you, Ron Sensei. We look forward to hopefully seeing you at some point this year. Chicago's been hit very hard with the COVID, and we do indeed hope that the numbers are lessening. So I'd also like to thank Reverend Gary Shobojasula for helping in the service today. And I'd like to thank our tech team of Carl Parma and David Brady for your wonderful facilitation of this service so that we can reach not only live audience but also our virtual Sangha. Thank you for attending. Thank you to Nobuko Kodama-san for playing the piano today. And were there any greeters? Thank you to anyone who may have been a greeter today, who may be hiding behind the screen. We appreciate everyone's efforts on behalf of our Sangha. Thank you all. But most of all, thank you all for coming out and attending in person today. We truly appreciate your coming to the temple, and we appreciate your membership in the New York Buddhist Church. For those of you who are listening, it is through your dana, your financial support, that we are able to maintain this facility, the New York Buddhist Church, which is located in New York City at 331-32 Riverside Drive on 105th Street. We maintain a website, which is newyorkbuddhistchurch.org. And on that website, you can find a link to becoming a membership or to make a donation via PayPal, or you may send a check. We appreciate your support very, very much. It is through your dana that we maintain the building, and we are able to bring you these live services. You may also watch the services once again at our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/c/NY New York, where is it? NY Buddhist Church. And we also have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/NY Buddhist Church. So once again, thank you all for attending very much, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday, where we will meet once again at 11:30 to share the Nembutsu Dharma. And on that note, let us join our hands together and give our closing Gassho. In appreciation for all that we are given and for all that we receive, in appreciation for the teachings of Shinran Shonin, and for Renyoshoni, the 8th abbot, his descendant, who codified our services so that we may join together in appreciation of O-Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Ndabutsu.